A True Traveling Man. The Story of Jean-Pierre Boyer by Stephen Raymond. It's well known that during the American Revolution, the French played a major role in the victory as our allies. Yet after the war, our treaty ended with the French, and privateers took advantage of this by looting American merchant ships in the Caribbean. In 1799, preparations were made for a sloop of war to be built in the towns of Norwich and New London, Connecticut on behalf of Commander David Jewett. The ship was to be called the Trumbull, in honor of that great Masonic brother, Governor Jonathan Trumbull. On November 26, 1799, the vessel took off down the Thames River en route to New London when it struck aground and had to take the next 2 days to repair the ship. She was armed and stocked in New London and stayed there until March of 1800, when she set sail for New York. Commander Jewett received orders to sail to San Domingo and assist the U.S. Navy on patrol. Meanwhile, in San Domingo, the island was undergoing a transformation. The French had just been thrown off the island by its slave inhabitants, and General Toussaint, an African Haitian educated in France in the art of war, was now ruling this country with an iron fist. His rival, André Rigaud, a half-French and half-Haitian slave who fought in the French army during the Revolution, was fighting for control of what his followers thought should be a republic. Rigaud, representing his followers from the South and the West, was pitted in what was to be called an exterminating war with Toussaint. Unfortunately for Rigaud, he was losing the fight and was forced to flee the island. He boarded a French ship called La Vengeance and set sail for France. Not long after leaving the harbor, the ship was attacked and seized by the U.S. Navy. Commander Jewett then took command of La Vengeance. He seized the vessel, the property, and the people thereon. He then sailed back to New London with both ships. In addition to the 140 people on the ship, 70 of whom were officers in Rigaud's army, there were 40 bags of coffee, roughly $9,000 worth of gold and silver, and many documents pertaining to the French correspondence with the colony. In all, the boat capture was a total profit of $13,000 once the ships harbored in New London. Many of the people taken off the ship were placed in prisons in Hartford, New London, and Norwich, Connecticut. One of these men taken into custody was Jean-Pierre Boyer, a native of Haiti born in 1776. His father was a Frenchman, a tailor by profession, and his mother a former slave from Guyana. Jean-Pierre was a lieutenant in André Rigaud's army. On his person when taken into custody was a full set of Masonic regalia, as well as documents from the Grand Orient of France, a charter, and rituals from the entered apprentice degree up to the perfect master degree. Although these documents and regalia were seized by an unknown person, Boyer was immediately given respectable hospitality. The prisoners were given winter clothing and suitable food. They were also given permission to leave the prison during the day and walk the town. The brothers of Somerset Lodge No. 34 of Norwich, ancient, free, and accepted Masons, inquired about this Mason from Haiti. Once confirmed that he was in fact a brother Mason, he was invited to attend lodge at Somerset No. 34. The brothers also arranged for Jean-Pierre to stay with the Manning family while here in town. Jean-Pierre spent much of his time in town walking, perfecting himself, working on his English, and attending lodge at Somerset. Before leaving, he cut off a piece of linen from his clothing that had his name on it and gave it to one of the younger family members of the Manning family. He told them to keep it and maybe someday they could write each other and remain friends. Many of the prisoners from Norwich, Hartford, and New London were sent to New York and then to the island of Guadeloupe. This island was controlled by the French. In fact, it was this island that the French would imprison Americans after capturing their ships. Meanwhile, Jean-Pierre was sent to France. When he arrived, he was greeted by none other than Napoleon Bonaparte, who was first consul at the time, not yet emperor. Napoleon gave him orders to sail back to San Domingo with Napoleon's brother-in-law, General Charles Leclerc, and his expedition. Once in San Domingo, Boyer found that the island was split into two. His old friend, Alexandre Pétion, was the leader of the South and the West Republic, while Christophe was the leader of the remainder of the island. Pétion immediately took in Boyer and gave him a position in his cabinet until Pétion's death in 1818. Boyer was then named President of the Republic. Christophe eventually shot himself, and the whole of the island ended up in the hands of Jean-Pierre Boyer, forming one solid island country once again. 18 years after his voyage to Connecticut, Jean-Pierre sent two families of Norwich monetary gifts as his way of saying thank you for the hospitality he was shown whilst his stay in Norwich. Boyer also donated funds to the Wesleyan Methodist Missionary Society. Jean-Pierre Boyer also assisted in what was eventually called a failing attempt to immigrate Haitians to the U.S. Although this was seen as a disaster to his critics, many of the Haitians that settled in the U.S. stayed and became Americans. In 1842, an insurrection broke out on the island, and it was divided once again. Unfortunately, it was Boyer's own nephew, General Boyer Bezoar, a politician and writer, that led the insurgents. Boyer once again found himself fleeing the island, where he stayed in Jamaica for a time. He eventually moved to France and died in Paris in 1850. I feel that this video is a great example of friendship, morality, and brotherly love, the core of what Freemasonry is based upon. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and please stay tuned for videos similar to this.